Hey, Lightning fans, Caley Chelios here alongside Lightning General Manager Julien BriseBois. Julien, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a long time, and it looks like hockey is officially back. Very exciting. Training camp's right around the corner, and then a hopeful for the playoffs as well. So how have these last few days been for you? And after the pause, I'm sure you've got to be pretty excited to be back in the action here.
Very much so. It's great to be back. It's great to know that we're going to get a chance to complete the 2019-2020 season and get a chance to write our own ending to our story. So that's great news and very exciting news. I think the format that the league has come up with, it's going to make for wildly entertaining hockey and a wildly entertaining event for a couple months there, where we're taking NHL playoff hockey, which in and of itself is usually incredibly entertaining, and we're adding a little March Madness flavor to it. So I think it's going to make for a really special playoff season for everyone, and we're really grateful that we're getting the opportunity to participate. So yeah, it's exciting times. The last few days were a whirlwind with getting the memorandum of understanding and kind of going through that and trying to absorb all of the new rules and everything that we need to have ready by Monday. But we're excited we got to this point, and grateful we're going to get an opportunity to complete the season.
I'm sure. And we've got a chance now for the last week really to digest the return to play proposal. A lot of information in there as well from your perspective. I know everything's happening so fast, but just what are your concerns, if any, regarding any positive tests and kind of the way the NHL has mapped out the way the rest of the playoffs are going to look like, and safety, and also just the way it's going to look like for the players once they're in the bubble?
Well, we have to be concerned about safety, and it should be at the forefront of our minds right now. And what gives me a lot of comfort is that the safety protocol is pretty extensive. A lot of experts got a chance to weigh in on the protocol, and we've had a chance here with the phase 2 where we had the voluntary training sessions here at Amalie Arena. We've kind of already put a lot of these measures in place, the testing, the quarantining, the use of masks, and kind of a new normal way of conducting ourselves at the rink on a daily basis. The reality is, when I look at the protocol, I think once we get everyone into the hub, the key is to make sure that everyone goes into the hub and they're not contagious. And that's why we are continually reminding our players and our staff that between now and July 26th, when we board that plane for Toronto, we need to limit our interactions with the public to a minimum, the absolute minimum. Ideally, you're going from home to the rink to get your work in and back to your home until we board that plane. That's the best way to make sure that once we get into the bubble, it is as safe as possible. And I do think, considering how things are set up and the daily testing that's going to take place, the social distancing measures, all the other measures that are in the protocol, that once we're inside the hub, it probably will be as safe a place as there is right now.
And one silver lining, just kind of looking back at the end of the regular season, as you mentioned, guys getting back together, they've already been at Amalie a little bit here and there, is you have a healthy roster right now. Towards the end of the regular season, you're missing several top 4 defensemen, Victor Hedman, Jan Ruda, Ryan McDonough, Steven Stamkos obviously undergoing the surgery. Is that one positive that you might be able to take heading into this new playoff format, that everybody's healthy? And what is kind of the injury status regarding some of those players?
Well, all of those players that you mentioned that had ailments or injuries at the time of the pause have all been cleared from those ailments or injuries, and everyone else is healthy. Unfortunately, in the meantime, Steven Stamkos suffered a new injury, a lower body injury during his training sessions here, and we do not expect that he will be ready to be a full participant on the first day of training camp come Monday. He will be a participant in camp. He's skating. He's been coming in every day for treatment, and he's been doing his dryland work, but he needs to rehab this new injury, so he won't be ready for the start of camp. That being said, we have all reasons to believe that he will be ready by the time we start playing games in Toronto.
Well, another, I guess, silver lining too, even though you never want injuries, you did get a chance to see a lot of young players, including Alexander Volkov, Stevens as well, and obviously Matthew Joseph has gone up and down a little bit. But what players, as you look to bring this new group into camp, 31 players, did you see in Syracuse that stood out to you, and how they might be able to be an asset moving forward into the playoffs?
What do we need to have the best training camp to prepare the guys that are likely to be in the lineup when puck drops for the first game of the playoffs to be at their optimum level of performance? And so we decided we wouldn't need 30 defensemen and forwards. We wanted to have, in order to have 2 quality practice groups and the right numbers in order to have quality scrimmages, we wanted 18 forwards, 10 defensemen, and 4 goaltenders. So we already had 25 players on our roster at the pause. We had 14 forwards, 9 defensemen, and 2 goaltenders. So now we needed the 2 extra goaltenders. That was easy. We had two goaltenders in Syracuse that shared the load there, Spencer Martin and Scott Wedgwood. So they've been invited to join us for phase 3 and have been in town for the last little while. We already had 9 defensemen. The coaches wanted 10, so we had to pick one. Ultimately, we decided to go with Cal Foote, based on his play, especially of late during the season in Syracuse, but also because of his size. We want to prepare our NHL roster to be ready for the playoffs. Well, come playoff time, you have to fight through big guys. You have to fight through big defensemen that have long reaches. Cal Foote, he's 6'5", 220. He's a good defender. He's gonna allow us to get ready to compete at the highest level come playoff time. So he got the nod. Then with our forward group, you mentioned Matthew Joseph and Alexander Volkov. They were probably the first 2 call-ups we were gonna be looking at if ever we had injuries at the time of the pause. So they were easy decisions to add them to our training camp roster. And that left 2 spots. And the coaches wanted one of them to at least be a center. So we chose Jamel Smith, who can play center and who also plays like a physical grinding type of game. So he's really good at getting the puck deep behind the defenseman, extending the play in the offensive zone by being really good at puck protection. So we thought that's the type of hockey we're going to have to play against come playoff time. So he was a good guy to bring in to help, again, our regular NHL players to get ready for the playoffs. Then we brought in Luke Witkowski, another big physical guy who plays a grinding type of game and who also has the added advantage of being able to go back and play D for us. If ever during camp we had an injury to a defenseman, we could always bring him in to play some D for us. And ultimately, when we recently heard that Stammer wouldn't be ready for the first day of camp, that opened up an extra spot. And then we decided to give that spot to Alex Barré-Boulet, who's had 2 years in Syracuse. He's been a year-end All-Star both years, one of the best players in the league, arguably our most skilled forward in Syracuse. So he got the nod to kind of complete our training camp roster.
Absolutely. So an exciting time right now. Obviously, a lot different look in terms of the players then that are going to be up here at this point compared to maybe the end of the regular season. But just as a whole, looking back at the way things ended, you guys, you were in 6th place before the start of the Christmas break, and then 2nd overall, went through that incredible stretch of 24, 25 games in the month of January to get to 2nd overall in league standings by February and work your way into the playoffs. Where are you right now in terms of how you can kind of replicate that same compete level that you were playing at? What areas do you feel are your strengths, and maybe some areas that need any improvement as you look to have a successful playoffs under this new format?
Well, we have a team that scores a lot of goals. So that's never a major concern. We play our best hockey and we get on these little runs, kind of like the one you just described, when we do a good job of limiting quality scoring chances against. Like during that run of 26 games, we did a really good job. Well, first of all, our goaltending was awesome. Both Andrei Vasilevsky and Curtis McElhinney provided us with a chance to win every night. But also we did a good job of protecting the middle of the ice in the defensive zone, which was a point of emphasis for us going into the season. We need to stay out of the penalty box during that stretch of time, probably starting as far back as November 1st. Our penalty kill was really, really humming from about November 1st to midpoint in February. We were number 1 in the league on the penalty kill during that stretch. So for us, when we get successful and we get on runs, when we do a really good job limiting scoring chances against, and we keep the puck out of our net.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Julien. I don't want to take too much time from you. I know you have a busy day ahead and obviously an exciting week next week. So thank you for joining us. And we look forward to hearing from you virtually or in person next week at training camp.
Sounds good, Caley. Be well.
All right. Thank you.